If you're a fan of the local microbrewing scene, then today I've got a real treat for you. Hi, I'm Greg Davis with Greg Davis Real Estate, powered by Vanguard Realty Alliance, LLC. And on today's episode of Going Local with Greg, I want to show you my favorite secret spot right here in downtown Westchester, Artillery Brewing Company. Come on inside, let's go take a look. Located in Granite Alley, at the west end of town and affectionately referred to as the Barracks location, Artillery Brewing's roots truly embrace the deep Revolutionary War history we have here in the area. And as you can see, they proudly carry that theme throughout. So let me introduce you to Mike Lovelace, one of the co-founders here at Artillery, and Justin Parasol, the general manager. So guys, tell me a little bit about how Artillery got started and how you came up with the great name and the history behind it.
Sure. So the concept came from homebrew. I'd been homebrewing since 2013 with a friend of mine, Paul Zippel, who's also one of the co-founders. Started it off brewing in my kitchen and fermenting in my basement. It became a fairly large-scale operation, which was not popular at home. My wife wasn't thrilled with the kids going to school smelling like hops, so there was a point where we had to move out of the basement, and we found ourselves on a local Revolutionary War era farm. We're there for basically a pint of beer. It outgrew the space rather quickly. Moved here just before the pandemic, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Oh, that's great. So how many varieties do you have here at Artillery? And who comes up with these really cool names for these different beers?
We have 12 beers on tap at any given time. And we try and keep at least one new rotating in at least a week.
Wow.
Rotating in or out of them. Actually, for a while there, we were also doing a really, really good soda, which we're hoping to bring back as well, a sarsaparilla.
Wow.
Which was something new and very, very well thought of. As for the names and the history, that's Mike.
So tell me a little bit about that. So how did you get into the local history? Where does that all come from?
So my family were not adventurous vacation takers, and as a kid I went to Colonial Williamsburg.
It's a great place. I love that place.
And so I was really into American Revolutionary history. On top of that, I come from a military family, my mother and father's side. As well, I'm a fan of the Arsenal Football Club, which has a cannon as its logo. So the combination of all those things, plus the rather significant revolutionary history in this region, it just seemed to make sense. When it started as a homebrew brand, I actually have the old original labels.
Wow.
That I designed with Photoshop and a regular dot matrix printer. And in terms of the beer names, those really came about seeking to honor the various elements of the revolution, whether those are individuals, battles, weaponry, terminology. I name the vast majority of the beers. There are some as well that Sean has done. There's one that he did name. It was a wedding cake stout that he did for his, I think it was his 5th anniversary. 5th anniversary. He couldn't have named it more perfectly. He called it a more perfect union. So that one is one of the ones
fits the entire profile.
Exactly. We have fun with it, but we also stay on brand. We don't come up with ridiculous names. We don't come up with names that don't have a tie to the history of the nation and of the region. So, in fact, on the backs of the cans of our canned product, we always have a write-up about the name and its relevance to the revolution. And in a sense, this will date me, but it's almost like the wrappers inside of Bazooka Joe chewing gum. So as you're reading,
we all love that as kids.
You're reading about
what was that?
reading about the history while you're enjoying a beverage. But
that's great.
Yeah.
So what's the local crowd favorite right now with what you have on tap?
So hazy IPAs are what's trendy and in, and we have a very good hazy IPA. It's called the Fog of War, and that's pretty much our #1 seller. And then there's a couple real loyal. The Volley is a Czech Pilsner that is done incredibly well.
As a note, that's what I have on tap at home.
Got it.
So that should say something.
That should say something for sure. So you guys also serve food here, right? So tell me a little bit about what's on the menu at your mess tent over here.
So we try and keep, you know, a lot of pub favorites. You know, we have a giant fresh pretzel. We have quarter-pound hot dogs. We have nachos. We have flatbread pizzas. We have some lighter fare, which is our toast products with caprese toast and vegetable toasts. Yeah, we try and give something, you know, for if you're coming in to really seriously watch football and drink. So we have some heavy foods, you know, or if you're concerned and you just want a beer after you've cycled around Westchester, we have light foods to take care of that as well.
Great.
Yeah.
So what's your personal favorite out of everything on the menu?
Dude, I'm like, get a quarter-pound hot dog.
You can't go wrong with that, for sure.
A quarter-pound all-beef hot dog. Yep. Yeah.
Long roll?
It's on a pretzel bun.
Oh, perfect. Yep,
Yeah.
perfect.
So,
Love it. So one of the things that really impressed me about your guys is your commitment to local history. So I know you have the Battlefield series, so tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. It really fits into the overall ethos of the brewery, which is all about beer activism, in a sense. Again, really spawning from our historic name and the names of the beers. Initially, we thought about doing a series of beers under the Battlefield series where we would try to brew beers in the way that they would have back then. The problem was that those beers, of course, were not delicious. And so the objective then was to shift away from focusing on how they were made, but instead to use them to honor the history of the region.
Gotcha.
So the goal will be, and we do have some Battlefield beers already that are in process, the goal will be eventually to have a beer in the name of every battlefield from Massachusetts down to Georgia.
Wow.
And as we sell a given battlefield's beer, we remit a portion of the profit to their historic society, preservation society, museum or park. The interesting thing is that has started to branch out beyond just battlefields. We've also found ourselves involved with a number of other historic organizations, the Sons of the Revolution, the American Friends of Lafayette. We're in discussions right now. I'll leak a little bit about it right now.
I love a good leak.
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much because I want to let it leak out over time in a controlled way, but we are striking an agreement with a major regional brewery, Mid-Atlantic brewery, that we will develop a collaboration series in honor of the Marquis de Lafayette. The goal of that is to have that beer available to sell in advance of the bicentennial of Lafayette's return to the region, which was 1824 through 1825.
Wow.
He went on a farewell tour of all the places that he had stopped, from Massachusetts down to Georgia and then out to St. Louis. So we are developing a beer series that will go with that celebration as the American Friends go stop by stop by stop. We're also very close to getting something taken care of to provide that to a major regional botanical gardens that shall be named at a later point. But
You heard it here first.
all of these things are exciting extensions of the brand. One of the other things that we've also been very fortunate and felt quite honored to be part of is getting embraced by veterans organizations. We've had a roll call that has been going on here with veterans of all branches of military service, of all ages. They come here on the third Thursday of every month, and they meet, they share stories, they network, raise a toast to all those veterans who've given their lives in service of the nation, and also those who are still serving today. And that's been really quite rewarding for us, and it was quite humbling to have that as a selection, our location to be the home of that.
So that's something that also really appealed to me about your brand and what you guys do. I know you're tied in with the Wounded Warrior Project as well. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that? I mean, the support of our veterans is something that's near and dear to me and super important to me. You know, my experience is really with a lot of World War II veterans and what they went through and having conversations with them, but it's something that, again, is near and dear to me. So to see you guys support Wounded Warrior Project and be involved with veterans is really a major thing, and I want to hear more about it.
Sure. So the The focus is not just veterans, it's also first responders.
Great.
One of the things that we're looking to get off the ground in this new year is a variant off of our 5K run, which is called the Cannonball Run. We're going to have a ruck called the Cannonball Ruck, 12-mile weighted back hike.
Yeah.
With the proceeds of that, we're connected to Tunnel to Towers, which is the organization, one of the organizations that was created for the benefit of the families of first responders of 9/11.
Wonderful.
So it's an opportunity for us, again, going back to that bigger theme of beer activism, to utilize our brand, to utilize our platform in a way that draws very positive attention to the men and women that have served our nation, not just from the revolution, but all the way up through today. And so we try to make sure that in each of the things that we do as a brand, with our products, with our locations, that everything is focused on honoring that and being part of that going forward.
Good beer and a good cause. I love it. So you guys also have live music and events here, right?
Yeah, quite frequently, actually. I'm a very big supporter of local music. I cannot play a lick and I cannot sing a lick.
You're a good listener though, right?
He can do both of those things as well.
Wow.
But we have an open mic here normally every other Tuesdays. We get local artists come in. We have kids that come in that play, you know. It's really starting to take off well. We have live music 2 to 3 times a week. And most of them are all from local area.
So how do you find these people? How do you get them involved in being here? How do you find your people?
Well, Artillery's sponsored some of the local music events around here.
Okay.
We just did a major look around festival, Onyx and Honey, which are 2 local artists, Nikki and Rob. They've been doing their thing around Westchester for a long time. They threw an event with 11 live bands, like at least 20-some vendors, had 1,000 people. And you know, Artillery was lucky enough to be able to sponsor them, put our beer there, and just keep the local music scene growing. And I think it's important. I think the arts are important. I think it's you know, keep people grounded. You know, we essentially spent 2 years indoors, so I think it's important to show people what's coming back to Westchester, and the local music scene in Westchester is incredible. You know, we have Uncle Dubby, we have Peter Peak, Onyx and Honey, Will Snooze, and these are all people that you know used to play regularly. Yeah. And then for 2 years, you know, been writing music in their basements, waiting for the return.
So you also have a comedy night coming up too, right?
Yeah, comedy night we had our first one last month, and it went really, really well. Had a packed house for that. We have it coming up 11/15, I believe, and it's actually going to take the place of our open mic night. It's a Cricket Comedy Club, and they just, you know, bring, you know, their comedians in here, and we have a good time, and we sell tickets in advance, but you know, you can also come to the door, you know, and get in as well for it.
Nothing better than coming to a great place with great food, great beverages, and have a laugh too.
Yeah. So
one of the other things that we're really focusing on, and this is more of a longer term goal, but again, being focused on the American Revolution, through a number of the partnerships, the organizations that we've teamed up with, we are setting our sights on trying to be part of America's 250th.
Wow.
I'm going to look at the camera right now. Hopefully all of those committees, I'll be reaching out to you. We're going to want to make sure that we talk about what we can bring from both a history and an entertainment and refreshment perspective.
I love it.
Brands like the Constitution and the Declaration, and we're going to be reaching out to you soon. But
perfect.
That's one big goal. The other, now to take a step back to the reality on the ground day to day, It's always challenging in a big, high traffic but high competition location like the borough
Sure.
of Westchester. It's a wonderful place to be. At the same time, we're kind of just on the edge. Some people tell us that we're like a speakeasy location, which sounds quaint, but it's a little tough when it's you're needing walk-up traffic.
Sure.
And so we definitely appreciate the opportunity to promote ourselves with people doing interviews and with advertisements that we do. There will be a mural going up on the main wall out in the parking lot, which will celebrate the Revolutionary history, Battle of Brandywine, the Marquis of Lafayette. So that'll become a visible landmark probably in the spring.
Can't wait to see that.
And we're also going to be opening a second location quite soon, within the next month and a half, 2 months, in Drexel Hill, Delaware County. Go Delco. I'm originally from Delaware County.
Delco too.
Out in Chester County for a while here now, and it's nice to be going back home, as it were. So
I get it.
Looking forward to getting set up.
This is like the secret spot, and I love exposing the secret spots so people can actually get here and enjoy what you have and what you offer, because I think it's so different, and the culture, the history, and what you guys support, I think is awesome. I love what you're doing here, and I really want to see you guys grow.
Thank you. Yeah. We're fortunate to have a really good team as well. One of the things that, as you look at what has befallen microbreweries, craft breweries, other small businesses during the pandemic, many went under. And we would have, if it weren't for the fact that we have such a dedicated and talented group of owners, investors, members that are involved. Justin's one of the owners, but also GM day to day, and we've got various others that bring in their talents, their creativity, their ideas, their connections, certainly providing funding to keep us going. And if it weren't for the fact that we had that type of a group pulled together to run this business, it's very possible that we would have gone under. But we've survived.
I'm glad you're here.
And here we go.
Glad you're here. So wrapping things up here, since you are the secret spot of Westchester, how can people find you? What's the best way for them to find you?
Well, again, and it sounds so cliche, but follow us on Instagram, Facebook. We have a brand new website that's going to be launched in a couple days. Subscribe to it. It'll tell you who's playing. It'll tell you beers that are coming out, new beers, new events that we're doing. There's a lot of information to be had out there, and that's the best way to keep abreast of where we are and what we're doing.
Gotcha.
And for the actual location, landmarks, if you know Westchester, at the end of Gay Street, you've got St. Agnes Church, you've got the Master's Baker, you've got the beer mill. We're kind of triangulated in between those in a little residential alley, which is where our front faces. I think most people, when they come up Hannum Avenue, they're not aware that there's a brewery on the backside, but we make it well worth your while if you can find us.
Well, we still have some nice weather too, and you've got that great outdoor space.
Yep.
So that's something that people should be encouraged to get out there and enjoy while the weather's still good for sure. Then again in the spring when the weather turns around.
And as you can see, it's we do have a very different atmosphere in here. So if you're looking for something that's a bit different than your traditional kind of warehousey tap room for a brewery, this is more of an atmosphere kind of a location. So please do come out and find us.
Well, great. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate the time. Make sure you come out and check out this place. It's the secret spot. Let's not make it the secret spot anymore. This is a place you want to be at. I'm Greg Davis. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Going Local with Greg, and I'm your personal compass guiding you to that special place you'll want to call home. I love where I live, and I want you to love it too.